Okay, guys, here it is, the dumbest video I've ever made in my life. I can't believe we're still talking about this, but now CeeDee Lamb has come out and said that these tours that happen at the Cowboys facility can sometimes be distracting. He was asked by a reporter if the tours are distracting or not. So my thoughts on this are very simple. First off, you don't air your dirty laundry out to the media. If you feel it's distracting, take it up with the coach, take it up with the owner. Nothing is likely to change. We know how Jerry operates. But you don't air your dirty laundry out in public. You just don't do that. And you're throwing an organization now under the bus with just one word, sometimes. That's all his response was. But it's easy to infer that he thinks it's a problem. And so therefore, he's throwing the organization under the bus that just paid him this mega deal just this past offseason that he had to hold out for. And now he's throwing them under the bus. He's using it as an excuse. He was just called out by Troy Aikman about his route running, how his route running is lazy. When the ball's not coming his way, he's running at 50% speed, and you can see that on tape, and a lot of receivers do that. It just is what it is. You're not going to go 100% every single play. It's very rare that a player, and especially a wide receiver, does that, but his routes have been lazy. His routes have been off at times, miscommunications with Dak, so there's problems there, okay? But instead of saying yes, or rather, no, these tours aren't a problem, they aren't the reason we're losing, he simply says, sometimes. That's all I'm going to say about it. That's his direct quote. And you can only infer that he's placing at least a portion of the blame for this team's failures on these stupid-ass tours that are going through the facility that have nothing to do with anything. I mean, Dak's response to this was perfect and professional. And that's exactly what you want from the leaders on your team, not excuse makers, man. And this shit has pissed me off. Unreasonably so, I'm sure. This is a stupid thing to even get angry about. But it's like, where's the self-accountability? Say no. The tours they're fine. They're not distracting. Even if they are distracting. First off, you don't, like I said, you don't air that out to the media. And second off, you should say, it's on us as players for our failures, for our shortcomings. It has nothing to do with the tours. Even if you want to say, yes, sometimes they can be distracting, like, so what? They're distracting sometimes. It's part of the business. It's part of being a Dallas Cowboy. You get all the benefits of being a Cowboy. You play on more primetime games than anybody else. You have more viewership than anybody else. You get more national recognition than anybody else. Every other word on all the sports networks are Cowboys, Cowboys, Cowboys. So there's inherent benefits. You get better brand deals by being a Dallas Cowboy. Like, there's these different levels of benefits you get for being a Dallas Cowboy that are just inherently part of the job. But it also comes with this side shit. Like, yeah, people are taking tours of the facility, and your other teams do it too. It's not as bad as it is here in Dallas because Dallas is so popular. They allow fans into areas where the players are at. Other facilities do it. You sometimes, occasionally, rarely, I should say, run into a player, but it does happen. Here in Dallas, they almost encourage it. So I get that it can be a problem. I get that it can be distracting. But my issue is CeeDee, it seems to me, and maybe I'm out of line, but just his one-word answer of sometimes is a indictment on the team somehow. That CeeDee Lamb's not to blame for the issues that CeeDee Lamb is having, but there's external factors to blame. Take responsibility, homie. Like, what are we doing? Say, no, these tours aren't distracting. They have nothing to do with anything, even if they do. You don't throw your team. You don't throw ownership. You don't throw this whole thing under the bus because you got called out by Troy Aikman for your lazy route running. It done pissed me off, man. Pissed me off. Probably more than it should have, but I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of the season, the way the season's going. I'm tired of these players not figuring their shit out. They're not practicing well. Like, how are you a professional athlete and you're not practicing well? Like, what are we doing here, guys? You've been doing this since you were a child, okay? Show up to practice. And I don't care if the practices are structured poorly. You have to show up to practice. You've got to give the effort. You got to pay attention, learn from your mistakes, and it'll translate to game day. Okay? If you have a problem with the way practices are structured, take it to the head coach. The shit should have been fixed back in August if you had a problem with the way the practices are structured. Or in September. Not going into week 8 like Mike McCarthy's doing now. Like, you're adults, man. You're professionals. Stop with these stupid-ass quotes about how the tours are a problem. They weren't a problem last year when you were going off, right? Nobody mentioned anything about the tours, right? So they're a problem this year now, though, right? I know you got asked the question, so you got to respond to the question. But why weren't they a problem before? But they're a problem now that you're failing as a player going into week 8. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're failing as a player going into week 8. This whole team is failing going into week 8. And it's not the goddamn tours that are forcing this team to fail. They don't have the players. They don't have the depth. The schemes are bad. There's a million factors as to why this team is bad right now. The tours are just about last on the list of reasons why this team sucks. And somehow it's dominating headlines. Here I am, my dumbass is making a video about it because CeeDee Lamb got me pissed off with his excuse making bullshit. And here we go. Sick of this shit, man. Sick of it. But listen, if you're watching this video, I host a Storyliners community chat. This is for Nick Eatman's. It's almost like a Nick Eatman Storyliners fan page. For anybody that doesn't know Nick Eatman, he works for the Dallas Cowboys. He runs a podcast called Cowboys Storyline. And on Twitter, I created with another person the Cowboys Storyliners. So you just go to Twitter, look up Cowboys Storyliners. It's a community. And every Thursday, I host it's called a space. So all of us get together. We talk Cowboys football. Sometimes Nick joins. Sometimes his producer, Chris Beam, joins. We have some other Cowboys podcast guys that join. And listen, we just chill and have a good time. So if you want to come talk shit, you want to come talk Cowboys, whatever it might be, you want to just vent, man, look us up on Twitter, Cowboys Storyliners, and you can join us from there.
Cowboys Nation, stay